Other interesting political news, you have Democrat Maxine Waters found guilty of campaign violations and now has to pay a fine. This is brought to us thanks to Chicago Ray, which, heaven forbid, I hope he doesn't actually live in Chicago, one of the most dangerous, corrupt places on the world. But nevertheless, he says, quote, "Holy shit, Maxine Waters lives in a $4.6 million mansion, has a net worth of $5.3 million, paid her daughter $100,000 a year for 10 years. Now she has to pay back $68,000 in campaign violations. Raise your hand if you want a full audit of her bank accounts." And that got 2.2 million views and 110,000 likes. And here's a good encapsulation of who Maxine Waters is as a person. This is actually during the election, and I'll let her insanity speak for herself, which, again, I'm no Hollywood actor, but geez Louise, she looks terrible in comparison to me. And that's saying something.
The majority of basically whites in this country willing to accept a dishonorable human being, someone who has been convicted of 34 felonies, someone who has been openly and brazenly racist, someone who has, talked about his love for Putin and Kim Jong-un and made some statements favorable to Hitler. It doesn't matter.
Well, this is all why you don't like him, but why has America voted for him?
Racism is the basic point. People don't like to talk about racism, but the fact of the matter is the majority of his votes are going to come from whites. And
well, technically that's the largest voting pattern in the United States, but yeah, record number of minorities voted for Trump. If you look at who historically is the biggest, person who votes for Kamala, well, also waistline, but also in terms of big voting block, is white liberal women with college degrees who are single and unwed. Especially that's one of the biggest voting blocks for her.
And that's who has been talking to all campaign about taking the country back. Taking it back from whom? Taking it back
tyranny?
From too many minorities who are doing too well, who are succeeding, who are closing the wealth.
Remember when minorities and the average American made more when President Trump was in office the first time than Obama was in office or when Biden was in office?
Gap. And something has to be done in his estimation. And so that's what it's really all about. It's not about the economy and all that, people would like to basically hide behind. It's about white versus other.
Just a quick reminder
yeah, she's insane. But I say that, and yet she makes millions of dollars and keeps getting reelected, and her constituents like her, which is quite concerning. And again, this went pretty well. I got 2.2 million views and 110,000 likes. And again, when it comes to, saying we should audit her bank accounts, I say audit every damn one, not just her accounts, but every politician. Again, there are a lot of rhinos and a lot of corruption on both sides of the political aisle. And I can't help but see a lot of the ineptitudes and their corruption as they raise up the deficit year over year over year and just spend more and more of our tax dollars. And they all, with the exception of Donald Trump, everyone who seems to get into politics leaves much more enriched. They make like a couple $100,000 per year, which I would argue is overpriced and overpaid. Also get health benefits and a bunch of other myriad of benefits as well. But again, they go in, make about a couple $100,000 a year, and they leave multi-millionaires. I would argue also because of corruption or insider trading, which legally they're allowed to do, or the spouses are allowed to do, which is ridiculous. Now, going to the main comment section, Chicago Ray says, quote, "Please watch this video. Maxine Waters calls America racist, and she keeps getting debunked by the anchors, which is glorious. Arrest Maxine Waters and seize her bank accounts until a full audit is completed." Where is she? Where did she get all the money? Getting 1.2 thousand likes. Bellany says, quote, "There are very few politicians in DC who could survive an audit without discovering crimes. If given a guess, Maxine would be one of the worst, most likely, getting 221 likes." Yep. Chicago Ray says, quote, "If you cannot survive an audit, you face the same consequences we do, get 166 likes." Yep. Master Jeff is a picture of Maxine or it's a meme of her looking as she always does. And it says, quote, "The face could stop, this face could stop bird shit in midair," getting 314 likes. Van Chick says, quote, "The Democrat Party is a criminal organization. Yes, rhinos are Democrats," getting 344 likes. We also have Mitch having a picture of Maxine, and it literally says, if a fart had a face, getting 130 likes. Daniel says, quote, or has a juxtaposition of two pictures. First picture is Maxine Waters' house, which looks like a very fancy, nice mansion. And it says Maxine Waters District, and it's a hellhole and a lot of homelessness. Getting 145 likes. Savannah sorry, says, quote, raise your hand if you want them to go to jail like we do if we did the same thing, getting 75 likes. Freedom Quest Network says, quote, yes, she needs to get a full audit because not only did she give her daughter just $100,000 a year, but she also gave her over $1 million, as seen below. This is a Fox News article. They don't give me the date, but it's a headliner. It says, quote, Maxine Water gave over $1 million in cash to her daughter. Getting 183 likes, which I think is the same as Fannie Mae, or not Fannie Mae. There's a couple politicians who are like, oh yeah, we just took cash. Like, what? Bondeva says, quote, Maxine Waters is a racist POS who is corrupt to the core, getting 111 likes. Lulu has a picture of two hands called Democrats and NGO, and it's called USAID. And under the table, they're giving them cash as a kickback, getting 129 likes. I see if there's any contrarian statements sticking up for Maxine. Because again, she's wildly popular. She gets reelected time and time again, and people donate millions of dollars to her campaigns. Or maybe it's just NGO money or, USAID money. You also have Pamelita said, quote, and then when you realize Maxine Waters was the chairman of the House of Financial Services Committee from 2019 to 2023. Since 2023, she has been a ranking member of the committee. What a shit show. Can you imagine the billions she has misappropriated? Getting 88 likes. A little gif of Trump going, billions and billions of dollars. Getting 88 likes. McAllister says, quote, she doesn't even live in her own district. She lives in a boozy neighborhood over one. Wake up people, they are more crooks than you could ever imagine, getting 43 likes. Genesis says, quote, Walters have been taking advantage of the system for years and years. $68,000 is nothing. Investigate her, and I hope she hasn't erased everything. Doge her, getting 100 likes. Which, yeah, $68,000 fine compared to millions by millions. Yeah, it's not much of a negative incentive. That's a rounding error for her. Scrolling down and still don't see really any contrarian statements or anyone sticking up for her. Chi says, quote, oh my God, audit her. Enough is enough. I think every single member of Congress needs to be audited, regardless of whether they're Republican or Democrat. That's the only way to get to the bottom of the fraud and corruption they have stolen from the American people for years, and we want them audited. If they are not audited, the U.S. government's underhand deceitful schemes will continue, and our American tax dollars will continue to be stolen. Audit the politicians. Getting 95, let's make it 96 likes. You also have Mary Wachowski says, quote, Speaker House Johnson, what does it take for you to expel a Democrat? If she were Republican, we would have already put up a vote. I'm sick and tired of you. Getting 91 likes. Well, he's very busy doing something. I'm told he does top things, very important things. But yeah, it looks like she got a slap on the wrist. Again, $5 million plus net worth. And I think the average salary for them is $190,000. Is something ridiculous. But again, she's in a secure district, or the people around her vote for her time and time again. So I don't think she'll ever actually lose her job. But let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So you can click that button. I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.